Okay.
Directed by Jodie Foster.
Okay.
Written by the guy who wrote and directed Buckaroo Banzai.
Well, W.D. Richter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, W.D. Richter. I didn't realize
you would never know it.
Else.
No, you would never ever know it. It's
No, because that movie was fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
Okay.
Nothing personal, John, but I can't express to you how much I hated this film. I really
It's terrible. It's so bad.
It's so bad. It's clunky. It's disingenuous. It's insincere. It's badly acted. It's smarmy. It's all these things. It's like the whole movie is like a 13-year-old writing in their diary about how miserable Thanksgiving is. The whole movie.
Sofia Coppola, you mean?
Except for Robert Downey Jr., who is absolutely fantastic.
I disagree entirely.
Well, you're wrong.
I know this is an annoying Robert.
You're both wrong.
This is annoying. This is him coming off the Brat Pack thing. He's annoying as fuck in this film. Just like laughing at his own jokes and wacky hairdo and the whole 9 yards. And it was about a year before his gigantic drug bust too. So
Jim just left. Oh, he's back. I thought.
Yeah.
He's finally
going
having
all soft.
No,
I've had enough. I've had enough of all of you.
No, I could not stand this film, but I did watch it all the way through. And there were a couple of shining lights in it too. There were a couple of good things. Like the sister, the normal one with the green dress. I can't remember her name, the character.
She's not normal.
No.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Normal enough.
How you interpreted her as being the normal one,
compared to
she's the boring
She's
one.
the worst person in this movie.
Okay, tell me why she's the worst.
She says such a terrible thing to her sister.
Oh, that's terrible. You mean her self-obsessed sister? Something terrible to her? Who cares? I mean, you have to buy in the fact that Holly Hunter.
When she tells Robert Downey Jr. to basically stop being gay.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
No, fuck her. She's
90s.
The worst person in this movie.
Okay, well, one thing about this film in general is the sexual politics were kind of antiquated. It's like that.
I don't think so. I think it's realistic.
Well, it's like the gay thing wasn't accepted at all. It was a problem.
I mean, when you have Annette Bening and what's his name as your parents.
Yeah, just
Charles Durning.
It's it's Anne Bancroft.
Well, it didn't really matter because
Anne Bancroft.
These are details. The tone was so off in this film.
Did you think the tone was off?
Because it was just like everyone was just kind of like it was just everyone's kind of self-obsessed and everyone kind of it showed that the scenes were very clunky and very chunky and it kind of like
it should have taken place.
Go from point to point and like make these little. It was hard to explain, but there was no flow to it. It didn't really tell me anything new about any of the characters.
I think I understand what you're saying, Scott, and I want to comment on it. But first, I want to know what Jim just said, which was it should have been set in L.A. Why?
It just seemed like it was an LA flick.
Like it just got transplanted for atmosphere to the East Coast,
to the Midwest.
It's
Maryland.
Baltimore. It's Baltimore, and two, there is nothing Baltimore about this movie.
Not really, no.
I know. It's like I knew it was because I saw like a Maryland lottery sign somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I saw some marble steps in front of a house.
It's like window dressing, right?
In all the ways that The Wire is the most Baltimore thing that's ever been made, this is the least Baltimore.
More so than Homicide: Life on the Streets.
Yeah, because they still filmed a lot of that in LA. The Wire, they did a lot of filming in Baltimore. This was like, what if we pretended Baltimore was San Dimas? Like,
this could be Hancock.
That's what this movie needed.
No,
it needed Bill and Ted.
Let me tell you, a lot of movies need Bill and Ted.
Or this could have been set Temecula in a total sense at that point, right?
Well, then explain the fight.
San Dimas near Temecula.
Scott, your critique of it being that some of the scenes, or rather the storytelling, is sort of chunky and the scenes don't quite flow together.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I agree with you, and it hadn't occurred to me the first time I saw it, which was many, many years ago. This is probably only the second time I've watched it all the way through.
Right.
And it did strike me this time that it does seem like, not in a good way, this movie starts at 60 miles an hour. It's like there's no introduction. Apart from that very disparate section at the very beginning where she's retouching the paintings, it's like you get to see what her life is like when she's not with her family.
And getting hit on by Austin Pendleton.
Yeah. And then she gets home and it's utter chaos and everybody's talking at once, and all the characters, obviously they're family, so they know each other, but there's no ramp up, there's no hi, how are you, put your coat down. It's just like they were just there 5 minutes
go
ago.
into the hell,
and they just resume hell instantly. Yes.
Well, also it's like, you go to Thanksgiving because you love your family. I didn't feel that at all in this film. I just felt like everyone's there, they're obliged to be there. In fact, there's that line, remember I saved that line in the chat. It says, this is Thanksgiving. No one means anything they say on Thanksgiving. That's the theme of this whole thing. Nobody means anything they say in this movie.
Hey, Scott,
whether it's good or bad.
Scott,
good or bad.
What have your
No.
Thanksgiving dinners with family or extended family traditionally been like in your life?
Oh, no one threw anything. No one got stabbed. And generally there was no contretemps. They're nice and quiet and straightforward. Now I know you kind of preface this by
and
saying
nobody was
that
out.
your Thanksgivings are a lot like this.
Were.
Well, you know what? That's
For a
legit.
very
That's
long
legit.
time.
Maybe there's some sort of give us this white person insight into what the hell your Thanksgivings are like, please.
I'm just saying that thing that. So I will defend this movie till the cows come home. I appreciate its existence for no other reason than it was the first Thanksgiving movie that I ever saw where I was like, exactly.
Okay.
That is what
I didn't go to a Thanksgiving meal or dinner until I was in my 30s.
You all show up. You don't really want to be there. Just because we're related doesn't mean I have to like you. It's basically theme. I mean, I think I haven't talked to my mother in 20. We agreed to permanently disagree many, many decades ago. And Thanksgiving was always a real fucking bummer for me because we're all going to show up and put this face on that lasts all of about 10 minutes. And then we go back to the dysfunction and that you roll in and it's just like instantly we're all playing our roles again. And how quickly can I get out of here? And how drunk do I have to get to be able to endure it at all? There's a John Cassavetes mumblecore quality to this movie that I definitely picked up on watching it this time. It's shambling, but there are moments where
shambolic. I think the term you're looking for.
They fucking nail so many little interactions, I think, between some of these characters. Yes, the sister is extremely unsympathetic, but weirdly, I used to relate to her character so much because she's like, I'm just trying to have a nice, normal fucking Thanksgiving, and I'm surrounded by crazy people.
No, that's the thing. She's on with the family and the kids, and she's trying to have a normal Thanksgiving, and everyone just keeps fucking dumping. They keep dumping on her. They're literally dumping a turkey on her. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it's over. There are a lot of things.
It deserves it. Fuck her.
No, it passed far
way too broadly.
Cruelty, if you ask me.
I think, I'm sorry. Holly Hunter. This is as adorable as I think I've ever seen her in any of her movies, and I love most of her movies.
She's pretty adorable in general. Yes.
I think Anne Bancroft is great. I think that Downey is great. I mean, there's just a lot of things about this movie that I like. I know a lot of it doesn't work objectively, but again, I will defend it if for no other reason than I felt like it represented what used to be a really wretchedly horrible thing I had to do every year.
You relate Dylan McDermott is really good as the guy who's just sort of like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Yeah.
Like he
is actually the only normal person.
He's the only normal person there, and he's just like,
he's the
can I hold something? Can I take your bags?
There's
something.
There's a little of that, but I actually felt like many things, like I said, are sort of 0 to 60 in this movie. He goes 0 to 60 as becoming the romantic lead.
Yeah, that happened really fast.
No,
and I didn't buy it.
No, he's trying to be the entire movie.
Without motivation.
No, he's trying to be the entire movie. Like you from literally like the moment he shows up, him and Downey are talking, and he says something like, oh yeah, she's really neat, or something like that. Like he from the very start of the movie, if you're paying attention, it's like, oh, he's here to meet her, and that's the only reason he's here.
Oh yeah.
Like
In other words, that's the overall. That's the kind of the story arc that goes over the entire film.
Right.
I buy that. I buy that.
You were promised that you could meet this interesting, intelligent, attractive woman who is single, who is looking for something in her life, and it's the only story I actually cared about at all.
See, that's the part of the movie that doesn't work for me, and I think the ending on the plane is very
the
much
ending on the plane's stupid. I don't.
Let's take a scene from a rom-com and stick it.
It gets dumb at the end.
Movie of
I agree with.
So that we end on a sweet note.
Yeah.
Right. It goes from a horror movie to this rom-com.
Yeah. I think Dylan McDermott's character is too self-assured that he's sexy and he's sweeping Holly Hunter's character off.
But he is. Come on, Jesus.
Right. I'm going to say, are you telling me he's not?
I'm sure he's a good-looking guy, but I just felt like
he's just a nice, interesting person.
I just feel like the peg didn't fit in this movie.
You know what he is, and this is like going back to film theory again. He is the secret owner of the film. This is Doug Sirk. This guy's from the outside looking in. He's like,
and it should have been more of him and Holly Hunter's character being like, "Oh my God, we're in this together." And
which is one of the many problems this film has.
It should
have. Which is one of the many problems this film has.
It shouldn't have had the scene with the repair guy and her. That should have been him and her.
Yeah, that was a misfire. I think in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's realistic, and I thought that was a great scene. And fucking David Strathairn just pops up for one scene.
I don't think it's a bad scene. I'm just saying it in terms of like if you really want
dramatic structure,
right? If you want to pull it across the finish line, I think you have that scene between the two of them instead of her and this random guy who you never see again.
Right.
Like it's like. Foster is obviously a very new director in this.
Oh yeah,
this was really, if not her first, one of her first.
Right, and she is failing on a certain level to pull everything together. Like I think there's good parts in this, and to me that makes it worse. It's worse that there's good performances, that there's good, interesting relationships between
good characters,
because it doesn't come together into a cohesive whole.
But yeah, there's
Tad, it hadn't occurred to me. It hadn't occurred to me my memory of it was that it was more cohesive than it turned out to be when I rewatching it.
Agree.
No, she made a good steak, then she poured ketchup all over it. Basically, that's what's going on here.
A little bit. But God,
even that can be good if you burn it in the right way. Like it's 3 pieces of a good movie and 2 okay pieces of a movie, and it just none of it ever came together.
But God, the good pieces. I mean, fucking Geraldine Chaplin is just holy shit.
She's really good. Yes.
Holy shit.
And Downey Jr.
She's a force of nature, man.
Downey's so good in this. I disagree with you so badly.
Okay, Scott. I have a question about Downey's character, you guys, because I was going back and forth on this. I remember being very charmed by him the first time and slightly annoyed by him this time. And I'm wondering, is this a very good performance of a guy who's kind of manic and annoying, or is it a misfire? Was it intentional?
I'm coming off of my history of seeing him.
No, he was not.
The late 80s and 90s. I was completely annoyed and gave up on this guy at this point. I couldn't stand this fucking guy at this point.
Well, there's these characters. There's like the boss at the very beginning.
But
the boss is terrible.
He's terrible in all these films.
I think people can be both charming and irritating.
Yeah,
and that's what his character is.
Okay, I'll buy that. Okay, that's fine.
Jim, were you listing the boss, the repairman? Where were you going with that?
And McDermott, I think, he changes character. I disagree with Tad. That
I don't feel like he does. I feel like he's always the same person.
Also, I think Chris flipped over the most interesting thing about this whole thing is that do you think your response to the film is based on what you think Thanksgiving is like?
I know that was
one of the reasons I might hate it is because I never had Thanksgiving. That was
neither have I, Scott. My family holidays were always very placid and calm and loving and blah blah blah. But I like this movie.
Finally, somebody made a Thanksgiving movie for me.
See, Chris likes it for a different reason.
That's interesting. That is very
Thanksgiving for me is the only difference between my Thanksgivings and the dinner in American Beauty, where he hucks the thing at the wall, is that we never got to the hucking the thing at the wall.
No,
Everything
it was
else
always skating close to it.
Right. Yeah. It's like we had the waspiest, everyone staring across the table with daggers in their eyes.
No turkeys ended up in laps.
okay.
But
No turkeys ended up in laps.
Okay,
one
okay,
of them
Ted,
one of them caught
there
on
were
fire.
food fights at my
One
Thanksgiving.
of them caught
Okay,
fire.
Ted, with
I like
with
it.
your knowledge of with your experience of Thanksgiving, personal, how's this film wash with you in terms of like how you interpret it through your own experiences with Thanksgiving?
This family loved each other more than my family did.
All right.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. That's good. That's well thought out.
There's a reason that I live as far physically away from my family as you can and still be in the continental United States. Like I didn't move to California and then Seattle because I like the people I had Thanksgiving with. Like, and I haven't
like the people you're related to.
Right. The last real Thanksgiving I had was with John. Like that's how long ago that was.
He threw good ones, man.
Yeah. But it's like that's the family you choose is way cooler than the family that you're born into.
No argument.
It's because John has so many siblings, right? You would kill each other. If
now, also,
now,
who played the demented aunt again? Who was that?
Geraldine Chaplin.
God, that just offended me. That was like,
yeah, she's not a great character.
No, it's not a question of the character. It's just like, oh, ha ha ha, dementia's funny. Ha 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 ha. You know, it's like they played her for laughs. The whole thing.
Is she supposed to have dementia?
I didn't get that. I thought she was.
I just thought she was an old hippie.
It's
yes.
She has dementia. They say it in the film. She has dementia, and
but I don't think they were serious.
That's the problem with the film.
Diagnosis.
All right. Well, either way, it's like, oh, our crazy dotty aunt who like kisses Charles Durning on the lips, and it's like it's that weird burial of people's dysfunction that you see a lot in Thanksgiving. Maybe
I thought she was just really in love with him.
I think she had this unrequited thing for her whole life.
She had a pretty fun speech there before it happened. That was
her little monologue about him is just like drop the fork, kind of like what?
What's
happening?
And Mrs. Mel Brooks is like, what? There's also that weird scene where she's like, there's a scene where she's undressing, and I was like, it's Mrs. Robinson. She's wearing the same slip she did.
Right. Kept it from
all it needs is music.
But you notice like there's a seam, like it's starting to pull the seam at the back, like it's totally
at the back,
worn out.
And the other part is
there were little details like that I thought were fucking perfect.
Yeah. It's that, and what's the other thing that happens that's so weird? Oh, when Holly Hunter's in the bathtub, it's like, man, even my family never got that like outrageous. That
you mean when Robert Downey Jr. takes a Polaroid of her in the shower?
Yeah.
Well, there's that, but that's sort of in what's his name's character.
Right. That's in keeping
she's
with
she's taking a bath, right? And her mom comes in and starts talking to her basically.
Yeah. Oh.
And she's like, Mom.
Right.
Actually, I've known some
boundaries.
I have known some families who do that. It's like there's low boundary families. That's like it's pretty weird.
It's sort of it's almost the parody of the scene in Close where she's like, don't lock yourself in the bathroom. Like it's like
it's the opposite of
this is the reason I locked the bathroom door.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to lock myself in the bathroom with you.
All right, well,
again, objectively, I don't know that I disagree with a lot of the comments. I just have a soft spot in this movie because I felt like it was for me the first like Thanksgiving is not all
sweet. It's cracked up to be.
Also, I just want to shout out.
We know
like the tagline in the movie poster is something to the effect of every year
86 million families get together. Why?
And then wonder why.
Right.
And then wonder why. I want to shout out and single out Cynthia Stevenson particularly as the uptight sister. I mean, her character is awful and the things she says to her brother and her sister are awful, but God, she is like always good in every movie. She's one of those actors where you're like, oh yeah, what's her name? And you know, like you don't know her name, you have to look on the credits to see. And she's always fucking terrific, and she's so good in this.
I don't know.
That
She's
treadmill scene,
perfect. She's perfect
You
as
guys
the
are all-
shitty Republican sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
The thing is,
Yeah.
I
Like that's
actually
the
thought,
Facebook. That's the Facebook aunt that everyone talks
yeah.
about
thing
now.
is, no,
The
you
scene of her on the treadmill, the stair
she would
stepper
be
in the
voting for
basement.
Trump.
Yeah.
She says that awful thing to Jodie Foster's character. It's like, if I met you and you gave me your phone number, I'd throw it away.
Yeah.
between
I actually thought
no,
Steve.
no, between you and me, I
Gutenberg
thought
was
that she
Yeah, but he's putting her through hell, and it's like, well, you deserve it. You married Steve Gutenberg, the
Right.
accountant guy.
Who's like
Steve
a total
Gutenberg,
asshole.
Steve Gutenberg, who's such a zero that he's a joke on The Simpsons.
I've actually forgot he was in the film. How's that?
Yeah.
Exactly. But the thing is, like,
He's also good in this film.
I
The
don't know.
Stonecutters make Steve Gutenberg a star.
I came out with a
Yes.
different view of that.
That's what this movie needed.
Gay
the
thing not
Stonecutters.
her
Everything
view,
needs the
the gay
Stonecutters.
thing notwithstanding, I thought that she was actually talking truth to her siblings. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm the one
Well,
who has,
yeah, she
I'm the
breaks
one who
down.
has to kind of make this family work, and you guys just got flitting around doing your stupid, you know.
And of course, they're raising the next
that's life.
generation.
You're
there,
talking
'cause
about the
kids
Cynthia
get
Stevenson's
crazy.
character?
Yeah, exactly. I thought that she actually came through really clearly.
The daughter is one of the more interesting characters in the
Yeah,
movie.
well, you know she's going to be like the aunt there, not the crazy aunt, but she's going to be like Holly Hunter in 20
She's getting up to the
years.
glue that
Oh,
holds
yeah.
the family together at this point, which is what's
Totally
happening. Also,
fucked
you
up.
know,
the daughter I think is also sick of her mom's bullshit, so
Yeah.
she's
Oh,
just like,
do you recognize?
I
That,
have to go home now, Mom.
Do you recognize
Who
the actor?
is the daughter?
Oh, I don't know what her
Claire
name is.
Danes.
Do you recognize her?
No.
Claire Danes?
I'm talking about that one, the
That
gal.
was Claire Danes.
Gal,
Really?
no, the gal no one likes his daughter, the really young one, saying,
No, I don't
Oh,
recognize her.
and
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, she was.
Oh,
Yeah.
She was in Apollo 13. She played the daughter, the youngest daughter, and
oh, wow.
yeah. So
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no.
interesting. All right, I think we should probably go to cards at this point.
Sentimental favorite.
Oh, it's just it was like
That's a badass car.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah,
badass.
which
car.
we
I
can't.
don't know.
known that.